President Cyril Ramaphosa expected to highlight the extra measures that the government will put in place to end rolling blackouts and boost economic growth when he delivers the State of the Nation address this evening. Let's go back to Cape Town now, outside Parliament, where SABC News reporter Abra Barbier joins us now live. Abra, what are you hearing from outside Parliament?
A very good afternoon to you as well. I am going to be speaking to political parties for the next couple of hours as we prepare for the State of the Nation address. They, of course, have been very vocal in terms of what their expectations are, in terms of what they want to hear the President say later on. First up, I have the IFP, Umkhuleko Hlengwa of the IFP, who will be speaking to us. So there's another issue that you would like to address, and that is the matter of the EFF and the IFP and the alleged threats made against the EFF Secretary General. How is the IFP responding to that at this point?
Look, we have addressed this matter. I'm told that on this show a few minutes ago, the spokesperson of the EFF was spewing all sorts of vitriol against the IFP. We don't understand this obsession with us from the EFF for starters. One, the police have said they don't know what the EFF is talking about, so why should we believe the EFF's lies? We've spoken to the minister. He says that doesn't know what the EFF is talking about. And in any case, in the greater scheme of things, who's Marshal Dlamini? Why would the IFP be worried or concerned about him? He's a non-starter, he's a non-factor. The bottom line is the EFF overplayed and over-assumed their influence in the municipalities in KwaZulu-Natal. They are not going to see the bloodbath they assumed they would see of us losing municipalities. It's not going to happen, because whilst they were part of the co-governance, they were not the alpha and omega of the co-governance. He then comes on here and he's saying all sorts of things. This is strange coming from a bunch of pathological looters. They must tell us about the grand scheme of looting of 200 million rands that they had for Umhlatus, and that's why they wanted it. If the EFF wants a fight, it must fight with itself, not with us. We know the tension that is brewing in the EFF because of the decision, unilateral decision taken by the EFF leadership to come out of these co-governance agreements. So now, as a means of deflecting attention, they're starting to paint us with all sorts of brushes and so on. Here's the bottom line. The IFP's focus is on governance and service delivery and servicing the people of KwaZulu-Natal. They call us violent. Tonight you're going to see the EFF's full display of violence again, because their only method of the resolution of conflict is violence, shouting, and all sorts of other nonsense that they do, because a rational argument is inconsistent with the culture and attitude of the EFF. So EFF, we've got no business with them. They're the ones who initiated the divorce papers between us, and so now they are unable to stomach the consequences of their own course of action. We're not bothered with the EFF. We don't care about the EFF. They are a non-starter in the greater scheme of things. In the by-elections, by the way, we are trouncing them day in and day out. They have been rejected by the people. So this pity party has to come to an end. It just has to stop, because it's not constructive for the debate of the country to take the country forward to make a meaningful input. So the only thing I can say is that this whole plot that they're talking about is a figment of their own imagination, and the delusions of grandeur are in overplay at this point in time. Nobody's going to kill Marshal Dlamini because there's no reason to, and he's a non-starter in any case.
Speaking about non-starters, other political parties, opposition parties, have said that is basically what the President's speech tonight is also going to be. Do you concur with them? What are the main issues that you think the President should be focusing on? And do you think since last year, the promises made since last year, we've seen anything come of those?
Hindsight is the best sight. We've seen the President addressing SONA since 2018, and the country has not moved. We spoke about a new dawn. We're in a permanent state of darkness as a country. He's chaired all sorts of committees. There's a mega presidency currently right now. There's ESCOM crisis matters, there's red tape, there's 4IR and so on, and none of these things have yielded the results. The country is literally on its knees. The recovery post-COVID has been slow and lethargic, if anything. It has moved at all, in fact. So the President is actually in a very difficult position, in that the ESCOM matter must be his apex priority, because everything hinges on energy security and energy certainty, because it's got a political, social and economic ripple effect. So he has to bring the ESCOM matter and energy to the center so that he can be able to deal with all the other issues. If he doesn't address that matter, nothing he says will actually make sense. But finally, this is not a new president, so it's not a new SONA, so he must also take the time to account for the things that he has said in order for us to find some level of credibility in what he has to say. So the ESCOM matter, as far as we are concerned, is the apex priority for 2023, because everything hinges on it.
Mr. Klegwa, thank you so much for that. Let me bring in your colleague, Meneer Pieter Groenewald van die Vryheidsfront Plus. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sure you heard what your colleague from the IFP said, and lots of what he said and other opposition parties, it resonates with what the FF Plus has also been saying about expectations and not hope, but a lack of hope in what the president is going to say tonight.
Yeah, firstly we say that I think the people of South Africa is tired of only promises, and what the Freedom Front Plus wants to hear is specific plans and action plans, but we also want the specific implementation plan of those plans. Specifically when we talk about ESCOM, but we also say that the president, the problem is that he acts in the best interest of the ANC and not in the best interest of South Africa. And that's why he's making a lot of promises, but it does not materialize in practice.
What is one of the main plans that you would like to see the president unpack tonight?
Well, firstly, we say there are actually three priorities. Of course, ESCOM is the first one. Then, let's say the economy, because it is about creating jobs. And thirdly, it is crime. ESCOM, the president had a meeting with us as political parties. They've put the plan on the table, and according to that plan, we're going to have load shedding until the end of 24 and even beyond, if they comply to the plan, which I think they're not going to comply. So he will have to come forward to say what additional actions they will take to ensure that they comply to that plan. When it comes to economy, of course, there's no doubt. Black economic empowerment and affirmative action, we see it with ESCOM. They stated now as part of the reasons why ESCOM is where it is. But that is also why the economy does not grow. And because if the people want to come and invest in South Africa, it's a combination. Because if you don't have electricity, you cannot invest. Yeah. And it's simple as that. When it comes to crime, the president, and I see the presidency said that he obtained what he said he's going to obtain from the previous SONAs, but the fact of the matter is it's a lie. Because if you look at violent crime, it's increasing all the time. And then I always ask the question, because we're getting here where we're going to have a disruption of the SONA this evening, and that's a bad example for the people of South Africa. If you're not satisfied with something, then you use violence. And I'm completely objected to that, and I think what should have happened, we are spending 8 million rand for the SONA this evening. We could have saved that. The president could go to an broadcasting place, and then he could have delivered his speech for the people of South Africa, and we didn't have this 8 million rand going around and the disruption of the EFF.
Mr. Groenewald, thank you very much. I need to speak to your colleague from the ACDP. Mr. Thring, if I can just have you with me, please. Thank you, sir. We have opposition parties filing in one by one. Thank you for speaking to us. Mr. Groenewald touched on investment and concerns about the energy crisis and how this impacts on investment. Of course, you know that we are currently facing the threat of being grey-listed at the end of February. We're waiting to hear what the Financial Action Task Team's decision is going to be on South Africa being grey-listed. That will affect us tremendously in terms of investment. How concerned is the ACDP about that?
Well, I think that the ACDP is extremely concerned. We've raised our concerns because of our increasing debt. If one looks at our debt to GDP currently sits at just over 70%. From the early 2000s, it was sitting at just under 30%. It is one of the largest budget items, crowding out soon budget items like health and education, agriculture and so on. This is something that the generations to come are going to have to bear the brunt if we do not rein in our current debt crisis. This also has an impact on so many things in South Africa. It has an impact, for example, on high unemployment. Unemployment sitting at just over 33%, one of the highest unemployment rates in the world. We also have a budget deficit, and that budget deficit is sitting at about 6% or so of GDP, which means that government has to continue to borrow each year in order to cover deficit. We have a shrinking tax base. So all of these challenges, and government sometimes blames this on COVID. You know, as the ACDP, we said that there should not be such a harsh lockdown. So we need to be able to protect the economy as well as protecting lives. But we had one of the harshest lockdowns in the world, and as a result lost some 3 million jobs. So the ACDP is extremely concerned about our current debt crisis, concerned about the continued borrowing, and now we also have borrowing in terms of the just energy transition, which we actually feel as the ACDP is hypocritical.
Sir, thank you so much for your time. We'll catch up with you later on after the President's speech.
Thank you.
That was Wayne Thring of the ACDP. Of course, we will be speaking to more opposition parties who will be joining us here later on. But I just want to give you a sense of where we are at right now. So there's not much happening at the moment. Of course, there's a lot happening behind the scenes inside the City Hall. Final preps are underway. And then later on, of course, this road behind me is going to be extremely busy because this is going to be where the procession comes. The three arms of state will be making their way down this road. Then the other aspect of the State of the Nation address, we're going to have the 21 gun salute and the flyover. And these are all part of the pomp and ceremony aspect of the day. But that, of course, you will be seeing live here on the SABC channel because we will be stationed here throughout the day.